Old Tom Gray here. Made me a hand truck for my oxygen and acetylene tanks out of a couple pieces of pipe, a couple pieces of unistrut, a couple pieces of strap, and a piece of plate. I'll show you how I did it. Here's our starting point. 2 pieces of 3/4 pipe, just black pipe, cut 3 feet long, and 2 pieces of unistrut, cut 18 inches long. I bought these from McMaster, and one is a little bit longer than the other one, so I'm going to make this end the reference end. So I scribed 9 inches, halfway mark of the short one, and transferred that to the long one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create 2 cutouts to lay in, the uprights, so that they can sit in a little curved out saddle in the back of the unistrut. So now in the end, I want the wheels to sit inboard of the ends of these pieces of unistrut so the rack is nice and compact. So the inside to inside dimension between the 2 pipes is going to be 11 3/4 of an inch. So that wheel plus the length of the unistrut plus the diameter of the tanks determines our upright spacing. So these aligned. It's good. So 11 3/4. For that, it's 11 3/4. Double check that. 5 7/8. 5 7/8. Now, since I'm going to let the pipe in to the unistrut, this washer is about the diameter of the pipe. So I'm going to go off of my mark and draw a semicircle. There, taking my Sharpie mean streak, just marking this in white so it's easy to see when I start cutting. I'll get distracted and cut the wrong lines. So this is just to make sure I stay on the right side of the lines. Weapon of choice here is the Skill Saw 77. What I'm going to do, I've set the blade at 3/8 of an inch deep. Here, I'm going to cut the middle of this channel and that channel, and I'm going to raise the blade and nibble away the entire width. So each cut we nibble a little bit more away and come up, we end up with a half round or quarter round channel. These metal cutting circular saw blades are fantastic, but they don't throw sparks, but they do throw chips. So plenty of suit up, eye protection, face protection. You're gonna get bombarded with little shards of steel. Now that the centers and the side cuts are done, I'm just going to reset the saw and nibble away at these, just like you would do with wood. You don't generally think of doing metal freehand, but that's what I'm going to do. Okay, that's what it looks like, all nibbled away. Now I'm going to take the die grinder to it and smooth out those. There's one side all shaped, and so this pipe uprights will fit nicely in there, and I'll weld around all the way around, nice and strong. I'm going to prep all these joints and the ends of the pipe before I forget. Next job is cutting out the base plate. This is a piece of 1/8 inch hot roll. Job for the skill saw. Okay, here's the cutout base plate. I'm going to fold 1 inch along the back and create a flange. But 1/8 inch plate is way too much for even my brake to handle it. So I'm going to scribe it before I bend it. I'm going to do that by setting up the skill saw so that I've got the blade so it doesn't touch the bench top. There's a piece of 18 gauge, and it just barely touches that. So when I scribe this, when I run this cut, I'm going to end up with a little teeny weeny 18 gauge piece of sheet metal, and it'll fold real easy. Flange is going to be 1 1/8 inches. Okay, there it is. Not a bad looking fold there. Although I found it was underbent in a couple spots, so I dinged it with a hammer. So it looks a little wavy there, but I'll straighten that out later. Okay, let's see how we're doing. So here's 2 pieces of pipe to simulate the uprights. And there's our unistrut. And we've got 8.5 inches, and that is the diameter of the larger tank, so it's perfect. So before I start tacking stuff together, Sand 120 grit and knock the paint off, or the powder coat off the unistrut, and sand the pipe and do all the weld prep. Starting the fit up, handy dandy little trick for you. When you're working with pipe and you want to locate it, I just use hose clamps. It makes it a lot easier to index it and positively locate it against something. So I've got my bottom unistrut clamped to the workmate, and I've got these clamps placed at the bottoms of the unistrut pieces. So now I'm just gonna align everything, square it up, double check it, triple check it, and then tack it together. Here's the frame tacked together. I'm going to flat spot the bottoms of these uprights so the base plate can have a place to land. Starting to look like a cart, sort of. So first test. Been good. Okay, we're gonna have to add a bunch of gusseting and do all the finish welding and add wheels. But it looks good. Alrighty. Next up is the wheel mounting plates. They're gonna go here The wheel's there. So to get them on the tube, on the pipe, I'm gonna tack a piece of scrap on there so I can align it easier and then tack it onto the upright. I beveled the edges of these and knocked off the powder coat so they're easier to weld. I'll get them mounted up here. Okay, I'm going to set this one up first and use it to set up the other one. So this one's square with my welding magnet to the base plate back here. It's parallel to the upright, so this seam here is parallel to that tube, and the bottom is parallel to the bench. So this one's righteous. I'm going to tack it in and then set up the other one off of it. Okay, 6 1/4 off the deck, 6 1/4 off the deck, 13 7/8. 13 7/8, 13 7/8. Tack it up. Just that little bit of welding pulled it over that way a 1/16, so a little bit of tuning. She's back to righteous. Maybe a little too far. All right. Okay, a piece of masking tape added here. And I'll align the wheel and mark the center of the axle and drill a hole wherever it lands on here, and just using the tape so it's easy to mark. I'm going to use axle bolts. And they're designed just to fit inside the bearings of the wheel. Here's our clearance gauge for the wheel. We'll lay that down like that, and then the wheel right up against it, like so. And then give the axle bolt a little love tap so it marks the tape. Make sure it's square on there. Right there, perfect. On with wheels. Just an axle bolt through that hole. Okay, these are just finger tight on here, but you can see as soon as I rock it back, it starts to lift the base plate off the floor. So to get the angle brace laid out, I got my welding magnets. I just got a piece of 1/8 inch by 2 inch strap over the end of the unistrut and down even with the base plate. So I'm just going to scribe that, cut it to fit, and tack it in place. Turns out I didn't have 2 pieces of strap long enough, but I found a couple of scraps, a longie and a shorty, so I'm gonna butt weld 2 of them together to make one of the side straps out of it. I think a butt weld will be strong enough for this application. Here we are with our braces in place. For the ends, with these little offcuts, it'll fit over the ends of the unistrut and triangulate this very nicely. Add some more strength. Okay, need a spreader between these wheel mounts so I can put my foot on it when I'm pulling back. And it looks like it wants to be 13 3/8 long. And I think I'm going to make it out of some 3/4 pipe. Doing this one the real old-fashioned way. Give you a little bit of a workout, but it's quiet. Doesn't throw any sparks, doesn't throw any chips. Okay, old meets new. I'm gonna bevel it out with my angle grinder. Trained to be a pipe fitter when I was a kid. And I like to hang on to the old skills. All pipe is not created equal. These caps are slightly bigger in diameter than my pipe for my handle. So I made up this little fixture and I'm just spacing it out with a piece of, this is a base from an old sander and a piece of used sandpaper doubled over. I'm going to use that to get the cap centered on the pipe so it's just righteous. So when we're all done, we don't have a crooked looking handle. .45s seem to be a little bit better quality. They very closely match the diameter of my pipe, so I can clamp them directly and just use my chopstick to hold them in place. Here we are, all in one piece. All tacked together. Everything working like it should. Okay, one final test fit up before final welding. Here we go. There it is. Free as you please. Okay. So now it's finish welding. So I'm going to go through and finish weld and grind all the welds. So I'll be back when that's all done. I'm not going to bore you with all that. Looking good though. She's back inside now, did all the preliminary grinding. Got to do some patching on a few welds here and there. A couple of welds ground through, so. Let the painting begin. So just using a spray bomb here. 2X Rust-Oleum Canyon Black Satin. And I already got a foggy coat on it, so I'm just gonna keep laying thin coats on. Uh-oh, running out. Yeah. Painting part 2. Brand new spray bomb, same color. Canyon Black Satin. I had a buddy that used to own a hardware store. Told me that like 90% of the paint he sold was black spray paint. Satin black, gloss black, flat black, barbecue black. I believe him. But anyway, we're gonna put some more on here. And final assembly, just putting on the wheels. An axle bolt, a 1/2-inch washer on the inside, an AN washer, and a nylock. and a little bit of torque. Everything rotates freely. Okay, the tanks are going to be held in place with unistrut pipe clamps. This one with a 6-inch pipe clamp or pipe strap, whatever you want to call it. And that one with an 8-inch pipe strap. So it's pretty simple. Just roll it on. Three-eighths bolt. Three-eighths bolt. Same thing on the other side, except this time it's an 8-inch. Eight-inch pipe strap. Get that finagled in there. There we are. Oops, another 3/8 bolt. All right, how to use it. Pretty simple. Put your foot on the crossbar, plant your heel, grab the handles and pull back. And you can take her anywhere you want to go. Moves real easy. If you want to move tight, turn tight, just put your foot back on the crossbar, plant your heel, and pivot yourself around. When you get her where you want her, foot on the crossbar, and just ease her on down. So it looks like this one's done. Done as it's going to get anyway for a little while. I'm going to put the regulators and hoses on it later. I'll probably just loop the whole hoses around the handles for now. I want to use it before I start adding too many accessories. Just let it evolve itself a little bit. And one comment here, these bolts, don't reef these down. I just snug them down. Cylinders grow and contract a little bit with temperature and how full they are, so you got to leave them a little bit of breathing space. They're in no danger of falling over at all. But don't just reef them down. Or you can use nylon straps or chains like other guys do. I'm using these because it's what I had. So it looks like this one's done. on to the next project. I will see you there and then.